Well, welcome to Australia, Sting. Welcome to the Eon Fm airwaves here in Melbourne. And you had a good concert in New Zealand last night?
Yeah, it was great, actually. We had 35,000 people going bananas.
Right.
Some of them violently, but nonetheless it was a successful evening.
Yeah, because there was all these stories on the front page of the paper this morning.
Well, no one got killed.
Riots and...
No one was killed.
That's the important thing. How many people were there in the New Zealand concert?
About 35,000 legally.
Right.
And about 10,000 got in for an out.
Right.
Over the wall, but that was okay.
So you were playing there while they were presenting your Grammys across the sea?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really fond of award ceremonies. They're usually fairly tacky, you know.
So you didn't miss not being there?
No, I think it's cooler not to be there, you know.
Yeah.
The fact that we won 4 is rather nice, but having to sit there in a penguin suit isn't my idea of fun.
Right now, also congratulations on becoming a father again.
I don't know how I do it, really.
This is number 3. What about your first 2 children? Like, how old are they now?
My son is 7 and my daughter is 2. My other daughter is 2.
Right. Has your son got any aspirations about what he wants to do in life yet, do you think?
He's very musical, but I don't know. It's up to him, you know. Whatever he chooses to do, he will...
No, the whole thing sort of... It's a time for you to take stock now, look back over the career of the police.
Yeah, I think so. It's a sort of hiatus, you know. We've worked almost solidly for 7 years now, and it's a good time to just take stock of it, as you say. It's exciting, because there are no plans, and almost anything could happen. And we have the wherewithal to do whatever we like, you know.
Back in the beginning, can you tell me what attracted you to Andy and Stewart in the first place, you know, when you started the police?
I met Stewart in my hometown of Newcastle, and he was already drumming with a band called Curved Air. And upon meeting him, I was immediately infected by his energy. He's a very energetic person. And we got on very well, you know, as musicians. And our relationship has been stormy and fraught with difficulty, but it's nonetheless been very creative and very, very good for both of us.
Right. Because you continually refer to the police as marriage without sex.
Yeah, I mean, if only we were gay, it would make all the difference, but we're not. And maybe a sex change would help with that. I don't know.
The stories about Synchronicity, like it's been referred to as the Police's White Album, where there were never any more than one of you in the studio at any given time. Is that right?
No, that's a fabrication. Yeah.
But you just did your individual bits when you were doing that. There was no great animosity or anything.
Oh, there was a lot of animosity, a lot of fighting, a lot of argument. Only because it's so important to us. Music is of prime importance. Whereas people's egos and sensibilities aren't, terribly. I think you see the studio as some kind of arena or a battleground. And it seems to work.
Right.
I mean, most groups would break up.
Right.
Most groups would just, you know, fall by the wayside with this kind of pressure on them. But it gives us a fire, you know, a sense of driven purpose.
So that's why you're taking this break, obviously, so you can come back fresher.
Yeah, I'm going on a bodybuilding course.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Because you're very into the whole physical fitness thing at the moment, are you?
I always have been very fit, you know, as an athlete, as an adolescent. I was a 100 metres champion of Northern England.
Oh, yeah. So what happened? Do you run X amount of miles a day or anything like that?
I've stopped running as much as I used to. I would run about 6 or 7 miles every day, up till about a year ago. And then I took up swimming. I think swimming is actually better for you.
So how do you find the going? Like, how do you feel now after the end of the world tour?
I'm tired, but perky, you know, I can probably outrun you.
Eon FM, your constant connection. John Peters talking with Sting from Police.
You're listening to Eon FM, and we're playing on Sunday at the Showground in Melbourne. Bring your grandmother.
Right, now, with all the things you're doing, like the acting and the studio work and the live work, which is still the most exciting thing for you? Which facet of your career?
I tend to view it as a whole, you know, as all one thing, really. It's an extension of my persona. acting, music, writing. So I don't kind of compartmentalise my life.
Right. Is it still as exciting on stage for you as it was in the beginning, like when you were your own roadies and things like that?
It's a different thing altogether, you know. I don't carry my own gear anymore, no. I don't travel in the back of an old van with guitars falling on my head. In many ways it's harder. Life is more difficult, you know, travelling huge distances across the Pacific to do one gig and then flying back the rest of the way around the world. So it has its rewards and it has its disadvantages, but I wouldn't change anything.
Does it frighten you at all, like playing in front of 70, 90,000 people, like at Shea Stadium?
It doesn't so much frighten me, it activates me. You know, I think you need a certain amount of nervous energy to perform. Without that sense of drama, you don't get a good performance. But I'm not afraid of it. I don't sort of panic. I think I'm ostensibly quite cool on stage. I am excited.
Well, a lot of people forget, like with your songwriting and your acting and singing, that you're also a bass guitarist.
Yeah, people forget this, yeah.
But like with your double bass, like I've noticed you've had different types of instruments you've used on stage. Do you have these custom made, or do you fool around with them yourself, or whatever?
My double basses are made by a man called Van Zallinger, who's a Dutchman, and he uses real double basses and as a basis for his productions, and cuts them down, he slims them down into more comfortable shapes.
Right. So he's the man. Okay, now as far as the acting side of things go, you received a Grammy for the soundtrack of Brimstone and Treacle. How do you feel about that film now on reflection?
I've always been very proud of Brimstone. It was really my debut as an actor. Previous to that, my performances had been what are termed cameos, you know, where I'm on the screen for about 5 minutes and I just have to be charismatic. But that film, I had to sustain a character for almost every frame, the whole movie, and I was working with, you know, Britain's best as far as actors went, and I had to learn very quickly how to compete and how to match their performances. So I'm very, very proud of it.
When you just, well, not just last year, you did Dune for Dino De Laurentiis. Can you tell us about that?
Dune was an interesting experience. I mean, it's an enormous movie. It's a $30 million extravaganza about a planet somewhere in the far solar systems. And I worked with David Lynch, who is the director of Elephant Man and Eraserhead.
I saw Eraserhead the first time last week.
Two very extraordinary movies. So the real reason I did the movie was because I wanted to work with David. And I think the film is either going to be incredibly bad or very special. It's a movie that's not going to take many prisoners. It's really out there.
Right.
I'm very interested to see it too.
Is it in black and white again?
No.
You've done this one in colour?
It's in colour.
Because he's very famous for that, like the black and white and that incessant noise he has that goes through his films. Is this one like that again, or is it?
There are a number of different moods in the film. The planet that my character comes from is a very industrial planet. So I think David will probably be up to his old tricks with the sound.
Was the video of Synchronicity 2 influenced by Dune as well?
No.
Wasn't?
Not directly. Obviously I just come off the Dune set and walked into Synchronicity, but that actually is my living room. Synchronicity 2, yeah. It's a bit untidy, as you can see if you watch the video.
It's got a very post-apocalyptic
That's my living room.
That's your living room, is like that.
Post-apocalyptic environment. I figure that, you know, if that's your normal environment, that when it happens, you'll be kind of used to it, you know.
Right.
So I have scaffolding and bits of newspaper all over the place, and old tyres, old fridges.
Back with Sting from Police and John Peters from Eon FM in a flash.
Sting, and you're listening to Eon FM, and you're playing on Sunday at the Showground in Melbourne. Bring your grandmother.
I read that you're really interested in playing Pontius Pilate in The Last Temptation of Christ for Martin Scorsese.
Unfortunately, just after I got the part, the born-again Christians of North America decided that the film was not going to be shown, and they lobbied Paramount Studios and said that if the film was made, that they would make sure it got into a lot of trouble. So the film company got cold feet, and the potentially wonderful film about the life of Christ has been shelved.
So you a fan of Scorsese?
I think he's the best film director of the decade.
King of Comedy being...
King of Comedy is a wonderful film.
Now, like you've obviously done a lot of reading, like with Ghost in the Machine, I originally read that Andy said the album title came from the Gremlins in the studio, but it was actually taken from the Arthur Koestler book. And then you went on to read, nodding in approval, read Carl Jung's Synchronicity. What are you reading at the moment?
Oh,
Any
I'm
special
reading
book?
a book by a man called Hofstadter about, it links the work of the Danish mathematician Gödel with the works of J.S. Bach and the artist Escher. It's an interesting concept.
Are you interested in writing yourself?
Writing prose? I do write prose. I mean, I'm not Henry James, but I'm fairly entertaining as a writer.
Or do you have to publish anything during the police layoff period?
I'm probably too young to be a novelist or a writer, but I mean, if I ever felt there was a novel in me, then I'd obviously make the attempt.
Yeah. Now, what about stage work? Does that interest you at all on the stage?
I've been offered a lot of interesting parts, and up till now I've had no time to really take them seriously, but as I say, now that there are no plans, almost anything is on the cards, you know?
Sure. I
I
read
get
something
a job
about
on a pipeline or something.
the Three Musketeers. I read something about that.
That's absolute arrant nonsense.
Is that right?
Yes.
I don't know how they print these things.
I think they're talking about the band.
So, now Stewart, he's not here, but is he playing polo in New Zealand or something?
He's playing hockey on a horse, that's what I call it. Oh no, croquet on a horse, that's what it is.
I read he's making a movie about the sport or something.
Is he? I don't know. He's apparently very good at it. I take the mickey out of him all the time.
Now, as far as that video situation goes, like the police always had pretty basic videos in the beginning, and you branched out with every breath you take and wrapped around your finger. Do you have any say in the video yourself?
I think they're fairly basic videos, if you don't mind me saying so. They are, you know, they aren't terribly complicated. Yes, we have a lot of say in the videos we make. It wouldn't be any other way. You know. We work with the best directors, I think, in the field, Kevin Godley and Noel Creme, but they certainly don't get carte blanche to do what they like. You know, we have to be involved. In fact, the theme or the mood of Every Breath You Take was suggested by me. You know, the black and white, and basically the three musicians playing music. That is the visual. There is no acting out of the narrative of the lyric. You know, I don't like that. I think it's too literal and too dogmatic.
Okay, and is there any music you're listening to at the moment that excites you?
I'm listening to The Art of the Fugue by Bach. I'm not really much into rock music.
There's no new acts that interest you at all?
I occasionally hear something that I really like, but I'm looking for something that transforms the whole thing, you know. I think rock and roll is in danger of becoming bankrupt as a form, you know, unless we get a radical change in what constitutes the art.
Do you think the police could make that radical change?
I don't know, we always try and you know, push a few frontiers back. But it's very difficult in our position, you know. We have this kind of industry that we support, and that supports us, in fact. So you always have these commercial areas of the work invading the creativity. It's much easier for a group with nothing to lose to do it. So really we should look to the new bands.
Right. Somebody coming up, like there's a lot of that very industrial sound. Again, David Lynch I just thought with bands like SPK and Test Department, have you heard them at all?
Yeah, I've actually.
Seem to be influenced by like things like Eraserhead, and it's quite exciting. It's a bit hard to listen to for any given length of time.
Yeah, I think what will happen is that kind of movement will be ameliorated, you know, and it'll become more listenable. But the question is it as valid as it was in its pure state, you know, and it's abrasive. Well, it's actually called King of Spain, and people.
He's in the studio. Stewart, hi.
How do you do?
I'm fine. Do you want to move a little closer to the microphone there?
Right,
just to sort of deep-throat it a bit there.
Closer to Melbourne.
Closer to Melbourne.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. This is the eve of the last concert for 2 years now. How are you feeling?
Oh, well, one more day of school. One more show, and then school's out for summer.
Yeah. But this summer is like a 2-year hiatus, really, isn't it?
Well, who knows, you know. Yeah. We've got no studios booked, no concerts booked, nothing booked.
Yeah. What about yourself?
Well, it's off into the wild blue yonder.
And where's Tonto? Let's take a little reflection, I guess, of all the touring that the band has undertaken over the last few years, since 78, 77, and more particularly with the popularity of the band, and heading into countries of unknown territory. What sort of difference, if there has been, if there's going to be marked difference in musical appreciation to, say, countries like, you know, the India, the South Americas, the New Zealands, Australia, America?
Well, the basic ingredients are appreciated everywhere, which is the main kind of throb of the thing, the main thrust. The volume, the beat, and the melodies and things like vibe. Those translate everywhere, from Bombay to, you know, Detroit. But the finer points, the subtleties, those are appreciated in different ways in different places. You know, like the Italian audience sings along, kind of like 2 bars behind the beat and totally out of tune. In America, they're really into, you know, there's different idiosyncrasies.
Right. In the long run, will we expect to see a live album from the band? Because
yeah, there are the tapes.
because they keep coming up, don't they?
Yeah, maybe we'll get around to it. You know, who knows? We should, because there's some really good tapes there. In fact, some that we recorded in Melbourne. We played here once at a place that was where they have. All I remember about it was the pictures of boxers in the dressing room. I think it used to be a boxing stadium or something. Anyhow, we played 2 nights there, and we've got some great tapes of those 2 shows. And those are 2 of the you know, the hot tapes. We've got lots of stuff. I mean, we might get around to it eventually. Or we might not.
Okay, well, I'll come back with the approach in just a moment. We'll play some live stuff. Here's Walking on the Moon.
Why are you sitting down? Are you tired? Is the church a bingo hall? Well, tell me! It's not, so stand up! 1, 2, 3!
It's okay. Walking on the Moon, caught live. The Police in the studio, Stewart Copeland. Stewart, tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock we're running the Police profile, the ones that program that you put together, along with the other 2 guys.
I'll have to tune in and listen to it. I haven't actually heard it.
Haven't you really? Yeah, no, well, you just asked where we got that from, that particular track.
I was trying to think of what concert could that have been.
Yeah.
I can date it by some of the licks. You know, it was quite a while ago.
Right. On that subject, how has the future turned out for you? Like, I mean, has everything turned out the way that you wanted? Have you ever thought about the future?
Yeah, I've been thinking about the future rather a lot recently, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to tell you right now what I've figured out, because, you know, I prefer to talk about things in the past tense, things I've done, rather than things I'm going to do.
That's what I'm actually getting at. Like, back in 1976, 77, when it was just starting to bubble, did you really think in the future terms, like 8 years down the track, which is now?
7, actually.
7 years down.
But yes, I did. Yeah. I mean, I never really actually the other end of the picture, how to start it off, and how to like ignite was fairly clear, the plan to how to do that. But 7 years, you know, like I never thought 7 years ahead. You know, I never imagined what would be going on. You know, that was always very hazy off in the future.
Yeah. Pretty happy with it?
Oh yeah, it's been a terrific experience.
All right. Along the lines of the next 6 or 8, or the next 2 years, I guess. Quiet in the set. We're just getting ready to go live to air down in the middle of the main street somewhere, so we've got all these people talking around us. But, like, in the next 2 years, now where you're taking this break, what exactly is going to happen so far as different solo careers are concerned? Like, I know you've been working with Stan Ridgway and Rumblefish and so forth. Well,
I might do some more scores, and I might do some more work with Stan Ridgway. There's a few possibilities, and I will be getting into that, you know, at the end of the summer.
Right.
But it's, you know, in show business, you hate to drop names and mention specific projects because it's very iffy. It's very flaky business, this. And you never know if it's going to work or if you've got anything until you've done it. And so that's why I'm reluctant to mention anything in particular.
Right. What about the Clark Kent situation?
Kent. He'll be back sometime, maybe, you know, if we all face west and, you know, pray.
And bow and scrape.
Yeah.
Will you remain in communication with the rest of the band?
I would imagine so. You know, we haven't communicated that much in the past when we've been off the road because we know we're going to see each other, and we see so much of each other on the road that we kind of tend to go off into other things when we're not on the road. But with this kind of open-ended future, we'll probably see a bit more of each other. Okay.
What about the process of putting down an album these days? Has that changed much in your own head, and the concept of Police? Has that changed much from the initial days?
Oh, yeah, we've picked up a few tricks. And some new gadgets have been invented as well. Changing all the time.
But you didn't start out with a set idea of what the Police were going to be.
No, we didn't really know. We were going to find out. The only set idea was how we would do it, not what we would do. And what we would do, in other words, the Police sound, it kind of evolved on its own. We didn't think to ourselves, let's see, if we mix a little bit of reggae with a bit of that and a bit of that, we're bound to have a hit group.
Right.
What we thought is if we get a group that's, you know, practical in this way and practical in that way, all logistics, all non-artistic stuff, just that the environment that surrounded the group, if we sorted all that out, the talent would sort itself out, which it did.
With the Synchronicity album, it appears to have been honed down. It's not quite as rough as maybe the first couple of... well, it's been a progression, I guess, all the way along, but it's not quite as rough, and you seem to have opted out of that so-called, in inverted commas, the industrial reggae, or white reggae feel that you got tagged with.
It's still in there, you know. But, I mean, there's lots of other things to do as well, you know. Talents, you know, you move on.
All right, let's take some footsteps. 21 to 7, Eon FM, very shortly heading on down to the Moomba Mardi Gras tonight with Captain Carl, and we'll be doing that live for you. Right now, still in the studio, is Stewart Copeland from Police, and of course that is happening tomorrow night, the concert, and the gates open around about 11 o'clock. The buses leave the Melbourne Showgrounds every 10 minutes from 8 a.m. on the corner of Flinders and Elizabeth Streets. Shall I know that? Is that all right?
Yeah. I just noticed you're reading that off a big notice on the wall there, yeah.
That's okay. Yeah, I shouldn't actually be reading it right now. We've been drumming it into everyone for so long. But still, every so often you play stumble gums. This Police special that's happening tomorrow morning, that we are doing, and you haven't heard it, why did you decide to actually produce this particular thing yourself?
Because many times in the past we've done long, in-depth interviews. I mean, in America there are these different people who syndicate shows. You do a real long interview, and they cut it up, and then they syndicate it, and they make a fortune out of it. And we figured rather than them making a fortune out of it, we would make a fortune out of it. Actually, it never occurred to us artistes. It occurred to our manager, Miles. It's his business for to have these ideas. And the other advantage was that we could cut it ourselves and say what we wanted to say rather than what, whoever was interviewing us thought, we would be saying.
Sure, and, like that always happens, interviews cut up out of context. And
yeah.
You don't have any safeguard against that, or you obviously do now?
No, we just have to watch what we say, whatever, wherever we go. We're fairly used to it now,
Right. In the early days, that didn't worry you?
No, we've always had a lot to say, and we've always stomped our way through, most situations regarding the press, It was great in the old days, because with the new scene breaking and everything, it was great to be very polar and to make outrageous statements and shock everybody. But now that the revolution has come and gone and everything's gotten very straight again, there's not so much polemics. You can't rant and rave over the radio the way you once could.
Go ahead, I'll just go for a walk.
There's nothing to rant and rave about,
No more, right.
It's all very nice,
Oh, thank you. Down the line, for this next 2 years, are you going to get a little closer to the kids?
A little closer to the kids, yes, I suppose so. I've actually got a comfortable family that I can leave behind, and they're happy to stay there until I get home.
On the songwriting side of things, has much been written, or has anything been written on this tour? at all, or?
No, in fact, no.
It's just...
I mean, I've been writing away in my hotel room. I've just been composing stuff, you know, for eventual use, you know, abstract stuff, and I'm sure Sting and Andy are doing the same. But we're not, you know, like communicating ideas to each other. We never have, really. The only time we ever, you know, listen to each other's stuff is either when we're jamming on stage, or in a sound check, or when we get to the studio.
Is the material fairly set before you go into the studio?
No, it's written. There's a melody and a lyric, and chords, and there's usually a rhythm. But then, you know, some of the songs are set. Some of them are very vague.
Right. What about on the return, the you know, Mark II police return in 2 years' time? Will that, we hear that it could be a satellite program worldwide?
Well, stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Oh, gosh. Here's some synchronicity.
Tomorrow morning at 10, the police self-portrait, a 3-hour radio documentary produced by Sting, Andy, and Stewart. Brought to you by Seaver's Styling and Setting Gel on Eon FM.
Coming up to
Melbourne's police
Thank you.
station.
Yes, well, we still are the police station. It's 11 to 7, and Stuart's still here. And, well, that's about it. I mean, that's about the final interview that you're going to do with the police for the next 2 years.
This is it, folks.
This is it. So
no more from me until much later.
grab your popcorn while it's still here.
That's right.
Yeah. So let's talk about, just a quick one, about the little future thing for you in the form of Rumblefish, which is
Future? No, I've already done that. That's in the past.
Sorry, you don't like talking about the future. Yeah, let's talk about past. And
well, that's something I already did. It's a film.
Yeah,
and
that's Francis Ford Coppola.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah. And I did the music for it.
Right.
It's a whole different thing from playing pop music. But that's what I did. There was a song out of the whole thing that I did with Stan Ridgway called "Don't Box Me In," which you haven't got a copy of.
Yeah, which I've been trying to find. I know Billy Pennell had it, because he played it last week, and I've been digging around in the mess we call the singles library, and I just can't find it.
Get a copy, play it.
Okay.
But the rest of the album is instrumental. It's all fairly exotic and weird stuff. You know, it's off the beaten track. It's not exactly your average kind of radio music. So to be found in obscure shops, probably, you know, for musical intellectuals.
Which, yes, very well. Have you heard the Raymond Zurich stuff?
Raymond Zurich? No.
Yeah. And some of it's Philip Glass got involved in it.
Ah, yes,
Yeah.
I've heard of him.
And it's very esoteric and very eclectic in a lot of ways. Anyway, that's just off the beaten track. It's just something I thought you might like to have had a listen to if you're doing the Rumblefish sort of music.
Yeah, okay, all right.
All right, have a good show tomorrow night.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
That's okay. You're going to come to the Mardi Gras? What are you doing tonight, anyway?
What am I doing tonight?
Yeah.
I'm not sure, as a matter of fact.
Oh, come to the Mardi Gras.
I might go see Elton John, as a matter of fact.
That's a bit of a Mardi Gras anyway.
His new wife, Renata, is an old friend of ours, because we recorded in Montserrat, in the studio she used to work at, which is where she met Elton. And so, I want to go and congratulate her.
Goodness gracious me. It was a big one. The wedding was a big one.
I guess so. No, I missed it. You know.
You were somewhere else.
Yeah.
Thanks for popping in.
Sure thing.
Have a good time.